Welcome back, everybody. We got the new updated Zorga deck. This is the big thing that I've been waiting for from set 10 to cover. Uh, I've tested a bit of this. This deck's really good. It's a very big improvement from playing the original blue Zorga and the red Zorga. This makes the deck just kind of hit hard very fast. You can normally, if you high roll hard enough, pretty much kill your opponent on turn 3 if you're lucky. uh, yeah, it's a very good deck. Very feels very consistent too. Not as bricky as it used to feel. And yeah, we'll just go in. You know, go in for the pretty standard ride line, which is one copy of Dream Nibbling, Rancor Chain, one of the best Stokias grade 1 in the ride deck, the Blacktear's Husk Dragon because it's on theme, and then Blue Zorga. So the Blue Zorga has a little more utility in this deck than running the Red Zorga. The Red Zorga will get you back an order card, which is really cool, but that's about it. This can bring something back from your graveyard, which sometimes comes up. But realistically, I've had more opportunities to use this than I've had to use the Red Zorga's skill. Um, if you have a way to get into Zorga Masques, you're going to go into Zorga Masques on your first grade 3 turn, whether you can get the Persona Ride or not off. It is just it's one of the best plays that this deck has. So yeah, we're not really spending too much time on our first grade 3. So that is it for the ride line. Of course, Dragon Tree markers. That's going to be important for later. So the new Zorga going on to our grade 3s. This is Teasing Spiritualist Zorga Masque. You can't ride him normally. You can only ride him on top of something with Zorga in the name. He gets he gives the front row plus 10,000 power if you did Alchemagic this turn, and he has the ability that he can remove a Zorga from the fight. So this isn't like bind. This is just it's a separate zone that you can't really touch. You remove a different name Zorga, so you ride deck 1 from your soul or your drop zone. I believe your hand too, and you can either call back a card from your drop zone, or you can call or add a order from your drop zone back to your hand. It's really good. His Alchemagic ability is also very different from both of the Zorgas because, of course, Zorga has the Alchemagic ability. This Alchemagic ability is you can do any 2 orders, so one from your hand, one from your drop zone, but they can have the same name if you have 2 with the same name, which is not super important. Sometimes it comes up, but it's a nice little unrestriction considering the last 2 Zorgas had that certain restriction. So new boss monster, super great, and of course the last of the grade 3s, the best beater in the deck. It's the Roaming Prison Dragon, the 15k beater with a crit if you do Alchemagic. Gorgeous art, really good card. In this deck, if assuming you're going second, normally if you have these out on the board and you did the whole way to get into Masque Zorga, your front row is getting plus 20, so he gets big. If you play a certain order, he gets an extra 25, so he's like a 40k beater with a crit. Really gross, really good. And yeah, it for the grade 3s where there's not a lot of other things to play. You don't need to play any extra copies of Zorga, like this Zorga in the main deck, because we're just never going to. We don't really care to use his remove from the fight ability more than once a game, so you only need the one in the ride deck, and that's perfectly fine. Going on, I'm going to go to orders because that'll make explaining the rest of the deck a little bit easier. So the most important card is the Masque of Hedragum. So the Masque of Hedragum if you activate it like a normal order, you look at top 5 and add either a Masque unit or a Dragon Tray unit from deck to hand. It's very nice. It's a little break even, lets you find pieces. The other ability is if it's in your drop zone, you can put it to your soul, and you can ride a Masque unit from your hand onto your Vanguard, and then if your opponent's grade 3 or greater, it's counted as a Persona ride. So this is how we want to get one of these in drop zone, so that on turn 3 this goes into this, and you start kind of comboing off. It is very important to know if you put the Masque into the soul, uh, or let's say you activate the order in general and do Alchemagic while you're on this. If you put it into soul and then go into your superior ride, this unit still knows that Alchemagic was done, so you have the extra 10k to the front row, which is very nice. But yeah, you only need 2 copies. We have plenty of ways to search it out. So yeah, well, the other order is we play 1 copy of the Grail. It's not super great, I'll be honest. The Grail is not a very powerful card in the deck, but there are some situations where you're like, oh, I don't have a Persona ride, and it's like, well, that'll kind of get you there, and it's kind of nice to have. 2 copies of Clouded Miasma. I see people only play 1 copy of this, and I kind of get why. You could play a copy of Tearful Malice if you want, but my idea with the deck is that I want to see this a little more often. So I have 1 extra copy just so I can guarantee that I'll see it, because it helps you. It gives you that extra 5k to your front row on Alchemagic, so 25k to your front row is kinda gross. You can probably kill somebody when you start going for big numbers like that. So I just value the extra copy over Tearful Malice. I'd rather play a careful game managing my counterblast than just being like, I gotta play Tearful Malice so I can reset. 1 copy of Gather Upon Me, Ye Wandering Souls. Giving your Vanguard an extra drive check, especially when you hit high numbers in this deck, is kind of crazy. Like I said, he gives your front row 10k, so any Persona rides you do, your deck's just gonna go that much harder. So even if your orders don't exactly get you any power, your front row still hits like an absolute truck, which is very cool. And the last 2 is In the Dim Darkness, Frozen Resentment. Say that 5 times fast. Probably made that joke before. So you get to check top 3, mill 1, shuffle your deck, and then you call a card that's a grade equal to or below your Vanguard. It just helps you try to find pieces and mill them out, which is really nice. But also, we do like to clear our soul very frequently. It's also a good early game order too. If you wanted to play 1 more copy of this, you could probably cut 1 copy of Clouded Miasma, but I think 2's fine. I haven't needed more than 2. That is it for the order lineup. A very, you don't need like a huge order lineup anymore, because it feels like you're able to fish out most of your order cards. Moving on to the grade 2s, now that we know that. 4 copies of What the Dog Doing, Shadow Cloak. He's going to mill orders for you. You have multiple ways to get orders back from drop to hand, mostly in the form of the Dragon Tray Grade 1, but we'll get there when we get there. Also, Zorga Masque can remove the Zorga from your ride deck and then, grab one of those back. But he also, if you don't have the Masque in your drop zone, can put the Masque in your drop zone, which is very important. So it's basically a better searcher for it. But we do play 1 of the actual, you go over here, 1 copy of Depth Welly. This is the actual searcher. For a counter and a Soul Blast, you make the Dragon Tree marker, and then you search your deck for the Mask of Hedrogum and add it to your hand. It's very good. I don't see myself ever needing more than 1, because I play the grade 1 that also makes the Dragon Tree marker. So he's just nice to kind of have. He also can help you like set up for a hand where you can activate Gather Upon Me, You Wandering Souls. So that is very nice. Give me a quick second there. There we go. Next up, on the grade twos is our last grade two, which is Keel Severing. So Keel Severing is an insane card. This helped put Zorga more on the map. So when your Vanguard with Zorga masks and its name swings, you can counterblast one and from the drop zone call him to a rear guard where the Dragon Tree marker is. So you always at least want to get one Dragon Tree marker so that he becomes live, and that is the fourth attack in Zorga. It does cost a counterblast, which kind of blows, but I mean, you, he's going to keep all the power buffs that you get to the front row off of Alchemagic, so can't be that horrible, right? That is going to be it for the grade 2 lineup. It's a very simple one. As you can probably guess, since we're playing a lot of grade 2s, we don't have a lot of room for grade 1. So the most important one we have room for is, I think his name is Bist Alvis. It's such a hard name. But on place, you can counterblast one and you make a Dragon Tree marker. Really good. And then his other ability is an axe skill, which is you can counter and soul blast to take an order from your drop zone, add it back to your hand. It comes up sometimes. It doesn't come up too often, but it's nice to have the flexibility. But also, it it's just kind of it doesn't take soul too, so we can spend more of our soul on our things like the Shadow Cloak and all that, unlike the Depth of Welly. So I do kind of like it, and also it's an 8K booster, which isn't bad. Uh, by playing 3 of this, 1 Depth of Welly, and 4 copies of Zorga Masks, if you don't have, or if you want to activate the Mask of Hedrogam as an order for your Alchemagic, you will have very good chances of hitting something to add to hand so that you're not just minusing on the card advantage, which is really cool. And of course, talking about grade 1s, we got to talk about the 3 custodial dragon, the 1 elementary sanctitude. Perfect guards are important. If you ever need more space in this deck, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've been thinking about being greedy and cutting a copy of the custodial dragon to make room for something else in the deck, but otherwise, like this spot is pretty unchanged from every other deck profile under the sun. And then moving on to the triggers are pretty much the same. We have the over trigger. This over trigger is going to get traded out when the new one comes in, but the Bless Favor is always really good. 4 of the effect crits and 4 of the regular crits. We are playing Zorga. Zorga is about beatdown. You're trying to rush your opponent to death, so it's always good to have these. Something I don't see a lot of people trying out, which I think is a shame because I think it's still insane, is 3 copies of the draw trigger. You're very piece reliant in this deck, not like to the point where like if you miss a piece, then you just don't do anything. Because there will be times that I miss my Keel Severing, and it doesn't kill my turn. Like my turn's still perfectly fine. I just lose a little bit of firepower. Saves me a counterblast, which is kind of nice. But drawing cards is always important in this deck. I think it is very worthwhile to play 3 draw triggers still. There haven't been too many situations I was like, dang, if that was a front there, this turn would have been insane. So 3 of this is just fine, and of course 4 copies of the heal triggers. I don't think effect triggers are necessary right now. They don't seem very good to me. I mean, you can obviously make your own judgment for when you play at events and such if the effect trigger would be more beneficial to you than the regular one. But for me, I'm valuing the 15k shield, and I think that's good enough. And that is the profile. It's very straightforward, very standard. I don't know, we could do like videos of test hands and stuff. There are some cards that I didn't include in here that I guess you could include. Tearful Malice is a really good card if you can find space for it. But again, I prefer the aggression. You could throw in, it's like Collective Beauty or whatever. It's the grade 2 promo that kills itself at the end phase and makes 2 tokens. You could throw that, and you could throw the Burrow Mushrooms in here for some more early game aggression. I just had so much stuff that I wanted to fit in this deck that I didn't have the room for it. And so far, I haven't like hated the deck. Like there hasn't been a hand where I've been like, oh man, this is just borderline unplayable. So I think that this deck is perfectly fine in this build. But if you prefer that build, go ahead and play that build. That's going to be all it in on this one. Leonore and Masque coming up, Gandiva coming up. Do I have anything else fun coming up? Maybe we'll have more fun stuff coming up too. I guess I could upgrade the Messiah deck and show you guys that too. Uh, yeah, so that's going to be it for this one. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know how your day is going, if you like these profiles, all that good stuff. And I'm going to catch you guys on the next one. Bye bye.